Hey, Pinsan. So, you asked me a series of questions for your project, and I'm so flattered that I can be a part of it, and I hope that this helps. You said it would be better not to answer in an email, so I figured why not make a little video? This might answer some questions that other people might have also. So, here we go. Why did you decide to join the adult film industry? I decided to get into porn because that's a good question. Um, I've always been very in tune with my sexuality, and I would identify as kind of a hypersexual person myself. And I kind of just love being naked. Call me a pervert, but one day I flipped a coin. Heads, I'd apply to a porn studio. Tails, I'd forget about it. That was over 2 years ago, so how does it affect your current relationships? My friends are very supportive, extremely supportive. I'm very fortunate to have that support system that I do. As for my family, my brothers, and you know how they are. They're cool. They support me, and I want to be the best older brother I can, and I don't want to hinder their relationships because I know that their friends know what I do, and sometimes I ask them like, hey, this isn't weird, right? But they seem cool with it. As for mom and dad, I think dad has a good idea because he, as you know, he owned the house that I was living in, and I know he had to have seen my posters and my flyers and shit. But he kind of just looked the other way, you know how he is. And then your aunt, my mother, I think she just would rather not know. I know she thinks something's up. She calls me all the time, and I'm in a different area code, or I have to tell her, hey, you won't be able to reach me because I'm going to be out of the country for a few days. All she has to say is, just be safe. But as for, it affecting relationships, I'm fortunate enough to be in a relationship with a man who loves all of me and understands and respects what I do. But it has made dating difficult in the past, and there's a finesse to breaking to someone that you're an adult porn actor. And I'm still, 2 years later, I'm still kind of finding my footing in that, and I still find myself stumbling over my words and choking up for fear of being rejected or judged. But ultimately, I could give a flying fuck about what people really think. The people that are most important to me and really care for me I have their support, yourself included, and I'm so grateful for that. And I know we don't hang out like we used to, but I think about you guys often. How does your occupation affect your future relationships? Once upon a time, I wanted to be a teacher. I thought maybe I could be like a gym teacher or like an English teacher or something, maybe even Spanish. But I think with my current occupation, that might hinder any future educational endeavors. I definitely don't want to be a politician, so that's a-okay. As for affecting future relationships with people, like as aforementioned, I kind of just take it as it comes. I'm rolling with the blows. I don't wear it on my forehead. If someone doesn't know, it's not how I introduce myself to them. However, if it were to come up, then I'm also not. I'm not gonna hide it. It is what it is. How do you think porn affects people? That's a good question. Porn is an act of you're emoting and you're portraying this hypersexual fantasy, and a lot of my straight girlfriends have complained that, even gay and straight alike, I've heard people in relationships complain that I'm ruining I've ruined some sex because a lot of this stuff is really outlandish. The kind of some of the situations that are portrayed in our films, um, or even the mode of conduct, the conversation leading up to the coitus, or oh God, just even the way that we get down, like some of the positions we pull, and things of that nature are it's fabricated. Surprise. um the average male will last about 5 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, 5-10 minutes during normal intercourse, and then you see us banging it out for 40-45 minutes, half an hour, whatever, and guys feel like they have to live up to that, and in turn feel impotent because they're not measuring up to these the sexual fantasies that are portrayed and shoved down everyone's throat. No pun intended. Aside from these negative effects, I think there can be positive effects as well. I remember exploring porn with one of my first boyfriends and being like, "Hey, do you want to watch porn together?" And that kind of brought us together, and it was hot being able to share this fantasy together and really explore our sexuality that way. Depending on the level of intimacy that people share while being intimate, I feel like it can go either way. It can be detrimental to the relationship, or it can strengthen it, depending on how they get down. I don't know. I'm like nervous, huh? Just because. Oh God, I love you, cuz this is so funny. All right, last question. As someone in the field, how does pornography shape sexuality modern day? Okay, so this kind of ties into what I just said. God, I feel like I answered this question already. It's an act, and I'm at a loss for words right now. It creates a level of heightened sexuality that people feel like they have to live up to, and that's not necessarily the case. And people need to realize that, in my personal sex life, I'm not banging it out for nearly an hour, and cranking out 3-4 positions. That's not realistic. Some people really do get down like that. I'm not one of them. In my films, sure. Some people don't realize that my longest shooting day has been over 8 hours for a 40-minute film. People don't see that. People don't realize that. Shape sexuality modern day. Because we are so accessible today, unlike in the 80s and 90s or prior to that, where you had to go to a porn store and you had to buy a cassette or whatever, or magazines. We have the internet, which has made us very accessible, and now porn stars are kind of a dime a dozen, and we're idolized now, where people feel they can interact with us on these personal levels, which is true, and they can. And I've met a lot of such a wide range of people being in this business. It's from every walk of life too. We're all, I don't care how sexual you are or not, we're all kind of, we have this, unless you're asexual, this common ground that we all want to get off, right? I think it's just me. Let's see. I think it can be unhealthy, especially for girls. I gotta say for girls especially, because one of my closest girlfriends, she says that she can't achieve orgasm with her man, who I know she loves. God, I know she loves him. But she has to auto-stimulate to achieve orgasm because she's too busy putting on an act for her man where she's, you know, throwing her fucking hair back and moaning at the top of her lungs. And God, I don't have I myself, I don't have screaming orgasms every time. You know, those do exist, that does happen. But some of the best nuts I've ever bust have been, you know, gasps of silence. And I feel like, you know, in most mainstream porn, you do see the and it's just, that can be so unrealistic, but you know that. I think I about covered it all. If you've got any more questions for me, you got my number, brother. Yeah, so I hope to see you soon. Give the family my best. Maganda gabi, pinsan.